Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to take a look at the Pulsar XT by Superchips. This is for the 2021 and up Ford Bronco. This is going to be a long video, so I'm going to separate it out into sections. Take a look on screen to see the timestamps. Feel free to fast forward to whatever section you want to watch, but let's go ahead and jump right into it. All right, let's take a look at the Pulsar XT module. We're going to do a quick unboxing. This is for the Bronco 2021 and up. It works with the 2.3 liter, the 2.7, and the 3 liter in the Bronco Raptor. Let's go ahead and open up and see what's inside. Okay, first thing we have is the Pulsar module itself. This is what connects to your OBD2 connector. This does not connect straight to it, but there is an adapter, or sorry, wiring harness that you'll connect this to. So this is basically the brains of the operation here. Put that to the side. Here's the Bluetooth switch that you'll connect somewhere inside your cab, either with the, I think there's some mounting pads or something that you can install in the back here. It does need batteries, so you'll slide the back off here and use these 3 batteries up top to put inside the module. This is what you're going to use to control the performance of the module itself. So it has a setting basically off, 0, all the way to 5, and 5 is going to be the highest setting with the most performance. Okay. All right, got a bag full of goodies. This is the wiring harness. We'll take a look at this here momentarily. We got some, those are those pads that goes in the bottom of the Bluetooth switch here, and some zip ties. We got some Velcro pads for the Pulsar module, and some additional zip ties. Looks like we got the owner's manual in here. All right, and this does include a 50-state carb certification as well, so you can use this in all 50 states. This is also for the F-150 too. Owner's manual will be we'll be doing a step-by-step installation, so you can obviously, if you do buy one of these modules, you can certainly read this, but we'll be doing a step-by-step install, so hopefully it makes it a little bit easier to understand what we're doing. Let's take a quick look at the wiring harness. All right, lots going on here. So it looks like there's 2 connectors here. One goes to the map sensor, one goes to the boost pressure sensor. I'm not sure which is which. We'll take a look when we go underneath, or when we go underneath the hood. Let's see here. This is just a piggyback part of it here. We have the connection to the OBD2 port right here. This goes to the Pulsar module itself, and then plugs up to the rest of the harness. This is actually 2 harnesses, believe it or not. So this part, this pigtail part, will actually go inside the cab right here. This is what you'll see that goes inside the cab. This plugs up to the Pulsar OBD2, and then this goes to your pedal. So not only does this device add power, among other things, but it also gives you better throttle response too, which is really cool. So that's that one pigtail. This is what goes underneath the hood. So you connect this to your map sensor and your boost pressure sensor, and then you will have to connect it to the positive battery terminal. And then this is what goes inside the cab and connects the other pigtail to this harness. So pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I don't see any real difficulty here. Once we get everything set up, Pulsar does have an app that we can use to control the rest of the things on the module. It's pretty well detailed, so we'll take a look at that as well. So we'll go ahead and get to it. Okay, now we're here under the hood of the Bronco, and before we start the installation, let's go ahead and first things first, remove the negative battery terminal cable. And they suggest doing this in the owner's manual. I typically like to do it anytime I do a performance upgrade to the Bronco, just to go ahead and clear everything, give the computer the ability to kind of relearn what you just did. It's usually a good idea. But just to take a quick look, here is the owner's manual, or the instruction manual, shall I say. And it does give a nice layout of what to do as far as installation is concerned. So it shows you with the wiring harness that they include that you need to focus under the hood of the vehicle, you need to focus on installing the boost pressure connector and the manifold absolute pressure connector. And then here's the terminal that goes to your battery. And then here's the inside of the cab section. So you're just gonna be running this one wire inside the cab, and then the access link, the OBD2 connector, and then the pedal, the throttle position, or the pedal position sensor needs to be installed. That's all inside the cab. So we're gonna do this here first, and then we'll go inside and show you how to do the rest. Okay, so I got the wiring harness out. There's two of them, remember. There's one of them that is for inside the cab. That's this one right here. And then there's one for under the hood. And this is gonna have your, this is the boost pressure sensor piggyback or pigtail. And then this is the map. And then you have the connection to the battery, which we'll do this probably as a last step. And then you have, this is the other piece that goes through the firewall and then into the cab, which we'll show you here momentarily. It's pretty easy figuring out which is which. The boost pressure sensor is kind of the skinnier one, you can see here, and the map one is the thick boy one. So pretty self-explanatory. Now, one thing about the Bronco is that it doesn't have an engine cover, right? So a lot of people claim that that's ugly, it's, you know, whatever. In my opinion, it's fine because it's easy to get to stuff without having to remove that. So let's start with the boost pressure connection here. Let's get this set up so I get this untangled a little bit. So it's pretty simple. So what we're gonna do is we're just unplug this by pulling this white tab down. Just pulled it down, push down the bottom, pull it out. Bam, done. So what we wanna do here is we wanna put this connector. You have a male and a female connector, right? So we want the male connector to go into the pressure sensor. Move that out of the way. So we'll go ahead and put that in. Hear it click, push the red tab in, done. Now we need to get this one into this one right here. So again, it's just a pigtail. So as far as this is concerned, it looks pretty self-explanatory, but see if I can do this one-handed. Yep, having struggle here. The struggle is real. So it's not like that. It's not going to go in. I'm not going to force it, but so you can see here, it's not this orientation. It's going to be the other way. So you see that little notch coming up? That's what you want to go into where the clip is on the wire here. So this is the correct way. Push it in, you'll hear it click. Push that white thing up, you're good. Okay, so next up is the map sensor. It's way back here. You might need a step stool or something to stand on to get to it. But tippy toes will work fine. So push this white clip back, just like that. Push that down, pull out. Pretty simple, right? Now we'll take the wiring harness. We'll take the male side, which is right here. It's got the clip on the top. We're gonna plug that into here. You'll hear it click. Push that in to lock it. It looks like it's locked. Feels like it's locked. Probably is locked. Then we'll grab this side here. We'll look for that little notch. It looks like there's notches on both sides. We'll figure out how this one connects. There we go. And I'm not forcing, that's not going. I'm not gonna force it, but so if that doesn't work, just turn to this side. So this is the side you want. If it will focus on it. So there we go, that's what you can see. Clips, push that in, bam, we're done. So again, this is 10mm socket. Loosen that. There we go. All right, so you're just gonna put that down like this. Sorry, it's hard to do this with one hand sometimes. And then we're just gonna flatten out like that, like so. We'll go ahead and tighten it up. Don't need to go crazy, just enough. There we go. And she ain't going anywhere. So again, you're gonna wanna cable manage this, make it look pretty, make all this rat's nest look better. But now let's go ahead and take a look at running this through the firewall. All right, now I'm gonna show you where the rubber grommet is on the firewall. right there on the back of the firewall. I'm going to show you inside the vehicle just so you can see where it's at. Let's get some light in here. So right there. So what you can do is you can just pull this off from here. See how there's a little opening right there? What I'm going to try to do is just bring it through the opening. All right, I'm going to try to zoom in here. It's going to be hard to see because my hands are going to be in the way, but see what I did there? I just basically pushed the cable through the bottom part of the grommet. This is not going to be a perfect solution here. Like, I would probably recommend just cutting a slit in the center of the grommet and then bringing the cable through there. Okay, so once you get the connectors installed, like we did here, we got the connector installed on the positive battery terminal, and then we got the wire running back through the firewall in the back there. You're pretty much done underneath the hood for the time being. You obviously will have to connect the battery cable again, negative one. And that should be it. So the rest of the work is inside the cab. So I'll do the best job I can about filming that. It's going to be tight quarters, but we'll see what we can do. This is what you have coming through. This is the wiring harness that is included. It's pretty evident that green goes to green, right? So you're going to connect this to this. But before we do that, we're going to connect everything else. This pigtail portion goes to your throttle right there. If you look at the very top, again, it's hard to see, but look right here. You got to pull that off. Underneath the red tab, again, sorry, it's hard to see. It's there's a little tab that you actually push in. So push in underneath the red tab to pull this out, and then it just comes right out. And so what you want to connect is the male end of the wiring harness here. So, and then we'll plug the female end here too, right there. So make sure you got the tab lined up here properly in the same orientation as the stock one. And push that one down, lock the tab, clicked. As you can see there, that's what it looks like when it's all connected up. That's this. So that part of the installation is good to go. So now we're down back to the wiring harness. We have the OBD2 connector. All right, so OBD2 is what it looks like. This is what orientation you're going to want to install it. And it's just right there. Push it in, good to go. And then the next step is to connect the Pulsar XT module itself and then the green wire. So let me go grab the Pulsar, we'll be right back. All right, here's the Pulsar XT module. Here's the wiring harness. There you go, it snaps. Pretty easy. And then the last thing to do is just connect the green together. And you'll see it's got another little clip here on the top of this one. Just find where it's at in this one and then plug it in. Now, to take this off, you will need a pick tool to get underneath there to depress the raised portion of the clip so you can unplug it. There's nothing else to press on, so you have to use a pick tool in order to do that. If you don't, you're probably going to end up breaking it. Before we connect the Bluetooth adapter or controller to the Pulsar XT, we will need to reconnect the negative battery terminal cable. So go ahead and connect that, and then we'll go to the next step. We're going to put the batteries in the Bluetooth switch selector. So I'll put this right there. You'll find the one end that has a little indentation here, and you'll kind of just pop it out. Yeah, and that's what it looks like inside. Okay, now you're here, you press the button, you got a lot of wave action back and forth, bar action, shall I say, whatever you want to call it. Put your keys in your Bronco, press the start button. And now you want to put this on top of the Pulsar XT, and it should pair. There we go, it paired. It took a little bit, but it did. So you can see there, it's only on level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll go through all the levels, we'll test all that, but yeah, it took a little bit for it to pair, but it did pair. So just place it next to the unit. So we do need to kind of hide this and get this out of the way. So I'm probably going to put it up here, right underneath where my steering wheel is. There's some places up there I can put it, and just for the time being, if you're going to keep this in your car long term, then I would find a place to zip tie it and or use Velcro. Okay, so the last thing you want to do is, like I said before, is make sure there's not any dangling wires hanging anywhere. You don't want it to get caught into a fan. You don't want it sitting on a exhaust manifold or just anything that's hot, too hot to get burnt up. So take some zip ties, make it look pretty, and that's about it. And then once this is over, then we go ahead and start the car and take a look at the app and go take it for a quick test drive.
All right, let's take a look at the Pulsar XT app, and it has a number of options we're going to take a look at. First one being power level. So you can adjust the power level of the device either with the Bluetooth clicker that I showed you earlier, or you can use the application itself. So here you can change it from stock all the way up to power level 5, which is the highest horsepower. You also can change the throttle sensitivity since this does have a built-in throttle controller. You can go from economy mode all the way up to ludicrous. My personal favorite is sport. Anything higher, like extreme or beyond, it really tends to kind of get into the boost a bit too much, and your gas mileage will suffer because of it. So I kind of choose 2 or 3 is kind of where I sit, but I like 3 quite a bit. So that's the power levels, and then you have the ability to change your tire size. One thing it is telling you right here is that if you have another device plugged into your OBD2 port along with the Pulsar XT, you'll need to remove that device and connect this one. And you would do, right now actually I have a splitter device on my OBD2 port. One is for the Pulsar, the other one's for my Ford Bronco 4. So if you're going to plan on changing this tire size, you need to make sure this is the only device plugged in. Here you can go all the way up to 36.3, which is about equivalent to like a BFG 37. So you can make that changes here. You can update it and you're done. Pretty cool that you can do that here. Here you can change your TPMS settings if you want. You can change the PSI from the front and the rear. You can also turn off the system completely if you choose to do so. Next up is auto start stop. It's nice, you can actually turn it off completely here or change the types if you'd like to. This is nice because now you don't need to go into ForScan or use a defeater in order to turn off auto start stop, which everybody hates. And then with the honk warning, which everybody hates as well, which you can turn off, which is nice. So if you take your key out of the vehicle, it basically doesn't yell at you, which I know a lot of people complain about. You can change that here with the app, which is nice to see. Battery management system. This is a pretty interesting setup, so you can disable it. I keep it enabled, but if you don't want any of these things enabled, you can obviously disable it if you'd like, but it's okay with me for the time being. Then diagnostics, you can read and clear trouble codes. You can also check emission readiness. Pretty basic stuff here, but it's cool that it has it as an option. And then lighting options, you have the ability to keep your fog lights on if your high beams go on. You can check daytime running lights. You can kind of keep them on and off. I don't know what type 2 and type 1 are. I assume it has something to do with the type of headlights if you have signature or the stock LED. But you can update some lighting options here. Then you can turn off, change the remote start duration as well, which you can do this in the Ford Sync app regardless, so kind of cool. I think the one thing that's missing from this application is the ability to potentially log and monitor statistics, such as like AFR, IAT, boost, kind of just see, just basically have the ability to monitor what's going on with your vehicle. I would love to see that in this application. Since it does monitor using OBD2, it's a possibility. I know it could happen, but I would like to see that added to this application, so we could kind of check and see what's going on with the vehicle a little bit more in depth. But overall, the app is very easy to use. It's very lightweight. It works very well. Out of all the apps that I've used for some of these piggyback devices, this is probably the easiest one that I've used thus far. So definitely a great job. Just would love to see some monitoring and log ability within the app as well.
All right, now it's time to take a look at performance. We're going to use the Draggy device to track some 0 to 60 times. Do keep in mind this 2.7 liter EcoBoost is not stock. I have a list of the modifications shown on screen here. I have the Injen Cold air intake, a CVFab intercooler, a Turbo Smart blow-off valve, and some colder plugs by NGK. But let's go ahead and jump into it and take a look at some 0 to 60 times. I'm going to show you stock or as it is configured. Then we're going to take a look at setting or level 3. Then we're going to take a look at level 5. So let's jump in. right, well, you can kind of see the numbers speak for themselves. The Dragy app is very impressive. Going to level 3, we saw a 0 to 60 drop from 6.1 to 5.7. Definitely a nice gain there. And then going to level 5, we saw a drop from 6.1 to 5.46, which is really nice. Super Chips does claim this will reduce your 0 to 60 times by half a second. Clearly, we're seeing more than that here, which is really nice to see. Might have something to do with the modifications that were added to the Bronco, but still a very nice result. Then one thing I did want to quickly mention is that my launch procedure for this is 4 high, sport mode, and then launch in second gear. And second gear is very important in the Bronco, especially in the Sasquatch if you have 470 gears, just because you're wasting time in first gear. It's so very torque limited, or torque management heavy, shall I say. But here on screen, I'll show you what the 0 to 60 time was in first gear on level 5, and you can see it is almost a full second slower launching in first gear. So if you have a Bronco Sasquatch, or maybe even a Badlands with the 440 gears, definitely recommend launching in second gear to get your best 0 to 60 times. All right, we're going to wrap up this review of the Pulsar XT. Now, quickly state that this is a very impressive device. I have worked with a lot of the piggyback devices that are on the market for the Ford Bronco. I've owned a JB4. I own a race chip. I haven't used the VR Tuned or the Panda Motorworks box, but those are a derivative of the race chip, so the installations are similar. The power output's very similar. They're just overall very similar devices. I also have a Ford ProCal, the actual flash tune, so I have experience using that. If you're not wanting to go the flash tune through the ProCal route, this, in my opinion, is the next best offering. And I say that because for what is currently $548, you get the ability to change your tire size, adjust auto start stop. You can turn it off. You can turn off the honk warning. Not only do you get more power than the Ford ProCal out of this device and better 0 to 60 times. With this one, we saw 5.46. With the ProCal, you only go as low as 5.6, 5.7. But also, you get a throttle controller, which by itself is $200 to $300. So think about all the costs associated when we talk about either the Ford ProCal or the other piggyback tuners that are on the market. I think this is kind of the no-brainer device. So that's kind of where I stand on it right now. I think this is for currently $548. I don't think you can go wrong with this device if you're looking to add more power to your Bronco and then have all the ability to adjust tire size, auto start stop, etc. So definitely like this device. So if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I will have a follow-up video where I stack this device on top of my Ford ProCal to kind of do some double dip action. I've actually got some really impressive times doing that. However, I wouldn't recommend it for daily driving. There's just a little too much pre-ignition going on, in my opinion. So, but again, that'll be a follow-up video. But thanks a lot for taking the time to check out this really long video, and we'll see you on the next one.